June 6, 1944. The English Channel, 4:30 a.m. The largest armada in human history cuts through dark water toward the coast of Normandy. Over 5,000 ships, 11,000 aircraft, and 156,000 Allied soldiers are converging on 5 beaches in an operation that will decide the fate of Europe. Operation Overlord, D-Day, the moment when the Western Allies finally open a second front against Nazi Germany. Eisenhower has called it the Great Crusade. Churchill knows it's Britain's last chance. And every soldier on those landing craft understands that if this fails, the war might never end. The Germans have fortified the Atlantic Wall, but they're spread thin, outnumbered, and about to be overwhelmed by sheer Allied numbers and coordination. But let's change one thing. Cutting through those same waters, radar scanning the horizon, missile batteries armed and ready, is a warship that doesn't belong in 1944. A modern Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, 9,200 tons of guided missile firepower, stealth technology, and combat systems that won't be invented for another 50 years. So here's the question that changes everything. Could one modern destroyer, appearing in 1944 on the German side, actually stop D-Day? Can a single ship sink enough of the invasion fleet to turn history's most famous amphibious assault into a catastrophic failure? Or is even the most advanced warship in the world not enough against 5,000 vessels and 156,000 men who've already committed to the attack? So, what exactly just appeared in the English Channel? The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, Flight 2A configuration, one of the most capable surface combatants ever built. At 509 feet long and displacing 9,200 tons, it's not the biggest warship in the world, but what it carries makes size irrelevant. Powered by 4 gas turbines, generating 100,000 shaft horsepower, it can hit 30-plus knots and sustain that speed for hours. In 1944, the fastest destroyers in the world, American Fletcher-class or German Type 1936, top out around 35 knots, but only for short bursts. This destroyer can run circles around anything in the channel and never run out of fuel. Here's what it's armed with: 96 vertical launch cells loaded with a mix of offensive and defensive missiles. Let's say 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles, each with a 1,000-pound warhead, 1,000-mile range, and GPS guidance accurate to within 10 feet. 30 SM-2 surface-to-air missiles for air defense, capable of engaging aircraft at 100-plus miles. 16 REM-116 rolling airframe missiles for close-in defense against aircraft and missiles. 1 5-inch Mark 45 naval gun that fires GPS-guided rounds out to 15 miles with devastating accuracy. 2 Mark 32 triple torpedo tubes loaded with Mark 46 torpedoes, though against 1944 ships, torpedoes are almost overkill. And 2 Phalanx CIWS, close-in weapon systems, 20mm Gatling guns that fire 4,500 rounds per minute, designed to destroy incoming missiles, but equally effective at shredding aircraft. The Aegis combat system ties it all together. SP-1D radar that can track over 100 targets simultaneously at ranges exceeding 200 miles. Fire control computers that prioritize threats, calculate firing solutions, and engage multiple targets in seconds. In 1944, the most advanced fire control system is mechanical computers that need manual input and can maybe track 3 targets at once. The Arleigh Burke tracks everything within 200 miles, categorizes them by threat level, and can engage 12 targets simultaneously before a human even gives the order. Against the D-Day fleet, this destroyer isn't just a warship, it's a force multiplier so absurd it borders on science fiction.
But here's the limitation that matters. 96 missiles sounds like a lot. Against 5,000 ships, it's not even close. Every Tomahawk fired is one less in the magazine. Every SM-2 missile used on an aircraft is one that can't hit a ship. And once the VLS cells are empty, the destroyer is down to its 5-inch gun and whatever ammunition it has for that. Let's say 680 rounds, a full loadout. That's 680 shots at ships that number in the thousands. The math is brutal from the start. This isn't about whether the destroyer can kill ships. It absolutely can. It's about whether it can kill enough of them, fast enough, to actually stop the invasion. Now, let's look at what it's facing. The D-Day invasion fleet is not just big, it's incomprehensibly massive. Over 5,000 vessels of every type, 7 battleships, including USS Texas, HMS Warspite, and HMS Ramillies, providing heavy gunfire support. 23 cruisers, both American and British, armed with 6-inch to 8-inch guns. Over 100 destroyers screening the fleet and providing close fire support. And then the landing craft. Hundreds of LSTs, landing ship tanks, carrying vehicles, artillery, and supplies. Thousands of LCIs, landing craft infantry, packed with soldiers heading for the beaches. Smaller LCVPs, Higgins boats, ferrying troops from transports to shore. These aren't warships built to fight. They're transports, thin-hulled, slow, vulnerable. A single Tomahawk could sink 3 or 4 landing craft if they're clustered. A 5-inch shell could punch through an LST like aluminum foil. But they're everywhere, spread across 50 miles of coastline, approaching 5 different beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword. At 4:30 a.m., they're already in motion, already committed. Some are 10 miles offshore, others are 5. The first waves are already loading into Higgins boats, engines running, heading for shore. The destroyer can engage targets at 15 miles with the gun, 100+ miles with Tomahawks, but it can't be in 5 places at once. And the moment it fires, every ship in the Allied fleet knows something is wrong. The destroyer appears at 3 a.m., June 6, 1944, positioned 20 miles off the Normandy coast, right in the center of the Allied approach lanes. The Aegis radar lights up, over 5,000 contacts, more ships than the system was designed to track at once, all converging on the French coastline. The captain has maybe 90 minutes before the first landing craft hit the beaches. 90 minutes to inflict enough damage that Eisenhower calls off the invasion. It's not enough time, but it's the only time there is. The destroyer prioritizes targets. Not the landing craft, not yet. The fire support ships. The battleships and cruisers that will pound the German defenses and cover the landings. Take them out, and the troops hit the beaches without the overwhelming firepower they're counting on. The targeting computer locks onto HMS Warspite, a World War I-era battleship 15 miles to the west, moving into position to bombard Gold Beach. The destroyer fires. A Tomahawk missile launches from a VLS cell, drops to 50 feet above the water, and accelerates to 550 miles per hour. Flight time, just under 2 minutes. Warspite's crew sees nothing. No muzzle flash, no incoming shell, no warning. Then a massive explosion amidships as a 1,000-pound warhead detonates against the battleship's armored belt. The explosion is cataclysmic. Warspite, built to withstand 15-inch shells, has armor designed for 1916 naval warfare, not modern shape-charged warheads. The blast punches through the belt armor, floods 2 compartments, and starts fires deep in the ship. Warspite lists to starboard, slowing, taking on water. Not sunk, not yet, but out of the fight. The destroyer doesn't wait. It fires again. USS Texas, 12 miles north, supporting Utah Beach. Another Tomahawk, another hit. This one striking the superstructure, destroying fire control systems and killing the gunnery.
Texas is blind, unable to engage shore targets, limping away from the battle line. 2 fire support ships down in 4 minutes. The Allied naval commanders are screaming into radios, trying to understand what's happening. Some think it's a new German weapon, a guided rocket or secret aircraft. Others think it's mines, even though no mine could do this kind of damage. Nobody guesses a warship, because no warship in 1944 can fire from 15 miles away with this kind of precision. The destroyer pivots and targets the landing craft. LSTs carrying tanks and artillery, approaching Omaha Beach in tight formation. The 5-inch gun opens up, GPS-guided rounds, fired at maximum rate, 3 rounds every 10 seconds. Each shell is programmed to detonate above the target, airburst munitions that rain shrapnel down on open decks. The first LST takes a direct hit. The shell punches through the thin hull, detonates inside the cargo hold, and the entire ship erupts in secondary explosions as ammunition and fuel cook off. The second and third LSTs, sailing alongside, are caught in the blast. One capsizes, the other catches fire and starts sinking. 3 ships gone in 30 seconds. But there are hundreds more.
The destroyer keeps firing. Gun barrels heat up, rounds slam downrange, LSTs and LCIs burn and sink across a 10-mile stretch of ocean. But for every ship the destroyer kills, 10 more keep coming. The sheer numbers are overwhelming. By 5 a.m., the destroyer has sunk or disabled 30 vessels. 30 out of 5,000. And it's already burned through 20 Tomahawks and 200 rounds of 5-inch ammunition. The math is getting worse. Then the Allied aircraft arrive. Squadrons of P-47 Thunderbolts and P-51 Mustangs, flying top cover for the invasion fleet, spot the destroyer. They've never seen a ship like this, angular, low profile, strange radar arrays spinning on the mast. Some pilots think it's a German experimental vessel. Others don't care what it is. They just know it's killing Allied ships. 12 fighters dive on the destroyer from 10,000 feet, guns blazing, .5 caliber rounds stitching the water. The Aegis system tracks them all. The SP-1D radar categorizes them as threats, calculates intercept solutions, and fires. 4 SM-2 missiles launch in rapid sequence, 2-second intervals, streaking into the sky at Mach 3.5. The P-47s don't even see them coming. 4 missiles, 4 kills. Aircraft explode at 8,000 feet, debris raining into the channel. The remaining fighters scatter, climbing hard, trying to escape whatever just hit them. But the destroyer isn't done. The Phalanx CIWS tracks a P-51 making a low-level gun run, 500 feet off the water, 400 miles per hour. The Phalanx spins up and fires, 75 rounds per second, a stream of 20mm tungsten that turns the Mustang into a fireball in midair. 8 Allied aircraft down in 90 seconds. The rest break off, radioing for reinforcements, warning every squadron in the area that something impossible is happening in the channel. By 6 a.m., the first landing craft are hitting the beaches. At Omaha, Utah, Gold, Juneau, Sword, thousands of soldiers wade through surf, climb obstacles, and run into German machine gun fire. The invasion has started, and despite the destroyer's efforts, it hasn't stopped. The destroyer has sunk 50 ships, damaged another 30, and shot down 8 aircraft. In any other naval battle in history, that would be a decisive victory. Here, it's barely a tent. Over 4,900 ships are still operational. Over 150,000 soldiers are already on the beaches or moving inland. The invasion is happening, and the destroyer, sitting 20 miles offshore, is running out of ammunition. The captain makes a decision: withdraw, conserve ammunition, and reposition for a second strike tomorrow. Or commit everything now, empty the magazines, and hope the damage is enough to force Eisenhower to recall the invasion. The choice is commit or retreat. The destroyer commits.
Every remaining Tomahawk, 30 missiles, fired in a coordinated salvo at the densest concentration of landing craft approaching Omaha Beach. The missiles ripple fire from the VLS cells, drop to wave-top height, and streak toward their targets at subsonic speed. From shore, it looks like a swarm of metal hornets skimming the water. 30 Tomahawks hit within a 90-second window. LSTs, LCIs, Higgins boats, all clustered in the final approach, all targeted simultaneously. The explosions are catastrophic. Ships disintegrate. Burning fuel spreads across the water. Secondary detonations chain from one vessel to the next. Over 40 landing craft are destroyed or crippled. Thousands of soldiers, packed into those boats, are killed or thrown into the water, weighed down by gear, drowning in the chaos. It's the single worst loss of life in the D-Day invasion. Worse than the historical casualties on Omaha Beach. But it's still not enough. The invasion continues. Other landing craft bypass the burning wrecks, troops hit the beaches, and the battle for Normandy begins. The destroyer, magazines nearly empty, withdraws toward open water, pursued by Allied destroyers and aircraft. It's faster, more advanced, but it's alone, outnumbered, and out of missiles. The 5-inch gun is still operational, but against an entire fleet, it's not a winning weapon. But let's be honest about what one destroyer actually accomplishes. It sinks or damages 90 ships, a staggering number in any conventional engagement. It kills thousands of Allied soldiers before they reach the beach. It forces Allied commanders to reroute landing craft, adjust fire support plans, and commit air assets to hunting a single ship instead of supporting ground troops. That disrupts the timetable, causes confusion, and makes D-Day bloodier than it was historically. But does it stop the invasion? No, not even close. Here's why. D-Day isn't one landing. It's 5 simultaneous assaults across 50 miles of coastline. The destroyer can only be in one place. Even if it sits off Omaha and sinks every ship approaching that beach, the landings at Utah, Gold, Juneau, and Sword still succeed. Allied troops still get ashore, still establish beachheads, and still start pushing inland.
Eisenhower doesn't call off the invasion because one beach failed. He adapts, redirects reinforcements, and keeps going. That's what makes D-Day so difficult to stop. The redundancy. The Allies planned for losses, planned for setbacks, and built enough capacity into the operation that even catastrophic damage in one sector doesn't collapse the whole plan. The destroyer also can't touch the airborne drops. The 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, over 13,000 paratroopers, drop inland hours before the beach landings. They secure key bridges, disrupt German reinforcements, and create chaos behind the lines. The destroyer has no way to engage them, no anti-aircraft capability against that many transports. Even if it shoots down a dozen C-47s, thousands of paratroopers still land, still accomplish their missions, and still tie down German forces that could have been used to defend the beaches. The destroyer is a naval asset. D-Day is a combined arms operation. One piece, no matter how advanced, can't counter the entire system. There's also the ammunition problem. 96 missiles, 680 rounds of 5-inch ammunition. Against 5,000 ships and 11,000 aircraft, that's not a sustainable engagement. After one day, the destroyer is a floating gun with maybe 200 rounds left. It can run, it can hide, it's fast enough and stealthy enough to avoid most pursuit, but it can't keep fighting. And once it's out of ammo, it's mission killed, tactically useless, waiting for a resupply will never come. So, could a single destroyer sink the D-Day invasion fleet? Technically, yes, it could sink parts of it. 90 ships in one day is a devastating blow. But could it stop the invasion? No. The fleet is too big, the operation is too dispersed, and the Allied commitment is too deep. Eisenhower isn't turning back because one beach took heavy losses. He's pushing through, accepting casualties and securing a foothold in Europe no matter the cost. The destroyer can kill thousands, disrupt the plan, and make D-Day a nightmare. But it can't rewrite history. One ship, even from 80 years in the future, isn't enough to stop 156,000 men who've already decided they're not going home until the job is done. Or what do you think?